Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the April 2nd meeting of the Committee of the Whole. Our sole agenda item this evening is to make a recommendation to the council, the full council, regarding a replacement alderman for the 2nd District. We have with us 4 candidates tonight. We've all seen their resumes/CVs. We have Keith Hemmig, Allison Weiss, Rosalind Thomas, and Tyler Townsend. So the procedure tonight will be, you've all seen the questions. There are questions we've used before. We will go through, ask a question, give each of the 4 candidates an opportunity to respond. At the end, they will each have up to 3 minutes for a closing statement as well. The vote at the end will be a roll call vote where we'll ask you to name your favorite candidate on roll call. If somebody in the very first round has more than half, we are done. If not, the top 2 will proceed then to a second vote. Top 2 plus ties if there happens to be a tie. Anything else from the city attorney on that, or you? All right. Yes, one moment, Alder Wider, let me get you here. Yes.
Just a quick question. It's been a long time since I did this. I thought we did a closed ballot on these.
Well, right now, the procedure I'm proposing is an open vocal ballot.
Well,
if anybody would like to make a motion to do something other than that.
I would make a motion to have a secret ballot for this.
Oh, excuse me. It can't be a secret ballot per the city attorney.
Or,
Here, hang on
what do you want
one
to call it?
moment. Mr. City Attorney.
By state law, this is not one of the rare areas that secret ballot is permitted. It may not be secret ballot by state statute.
So we could hand out a piece of paper and you could write it down, but ultimately, whom you voted for will be known, and I don't know why it shouldn't be known at this
And our name would
point.
be on the ballot that we write the name.
We'd have to stay compliant with that.
Is that a new state statute, Mr. Attorney?
No, it's in section 19.88. It's been there forever.
Oh.
The only time there can be a secret ballot is if you're voting for the officers of the body. In other words, for president or vice president, although
Okay.
we actually have an ordinance that says we can't do that, but that's the only thing a statute would allow.
Okay, all right.
All right. Thank you. So let's get right into the questions here. Whoops. So I'm going to start the questions. The first opportunity to respond will go to Mr. Townsend on the first question, and then we'll just work our way across to and the candidate's right here, and then loop back around as we go across there then. So, first question, there should be no surprises here. Understanding that all the persons have your resume and a letter of interest, please briefly introduce yourself and tell us why you would like to be appointed as the Alder of the 2nd District. Now, give me a moment to turn on the microphones, and I'm just going to leave them on for your 3 seats here then. So, what did I just do? There we go, seat 1, seat 2, and seat 3. Mr. Townsend.
Hey, everybody.
And by the way, please lean well into the microphone so we can hear you and the people watching at home can hear you as well.
Hey, everyone. I am Tyler Townsend. I am a Racine native. I've lived here my whole life. I am a coordinator with the Youth Volunteer Corps, and I am also an operations manager at a historic hospitality venue. The reason I originally got involved in all of this is I've always been passionate about the government and like the inner workings and all of that, and I thought that Alderman was a good place to start that journey. And yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and speak to all of you. And yeah.
All right, thank you. Ms. Weiss.
Hello, my name's Allison Weiss. I was also born and raised in Racine. Kind of funny. I was joking around last night with my husband. I was born in the 2nd District at St. Luke's and then grew up on Grand Avenue, went to fine arts school. I actually was going into elementary school when they began desegregating the district, and I would have gone to Winslow, but since my dad was head of household, I would have been bused to Schulte. So my mom didn't want me on the bus for 45 minutes, so she stood in line at Fine Arts and got me into that school. And I would say that Fine Arts is when I began my journey of wanting to serve this community, because I had teachers who believed in me and led me to believe that I could be anything. So I went into education, taught, and was a coach and a principal and director of pupil services in Racine Unified. Did a lot of work with the city through those positions. Then I left the district, went out to Muskego, and then I eventually got a superintendent job in Lake Geneva. But I was always kind of looking for ways, while I wasn't working here in Racine anymore, to still serve my community, because I care about my community. I actually applied for the Racine superintendent job, didn't work out, that's okay, Soren's a fabulous guy. And I actually applied for the city administrator job, just because I was looking for ways to serve in my community. Even though those weren't quite right fits, I kept looking. So now I'm a principal in Milwaukee, and when I saw this position as a possibility and an opportunity, I couldn't help but throw my hat in the ring, just because this is the city I love, and I've always wanted to serve it. I moved out of the 2nd District in my first marriage, and then when I was divorced and remarried, one of the first things I said to my now husband was, I want to move back to that neighborhood, just because of all the memories and the care that I had for this area of the city. So basically, that's just about why I'm not a politician. I don't have any aspirations to like move up into politics. I just see it as a really unique opportunity to serve the city, and the skill set I believe that I have in my various roles of working, resolving conflict and working with stakeholders, I think would be a great fit for me in this role. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rosalind Thomas. I have lived in District 2 for over 60 years. I graduated from Carthage College with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and with a minor in sociology. I am currently working as a reentry case manager for men and women coming out of prison, and knowing the struggles that they have is one of the reasons why I am running for this office. I do believe that I could do it. I worked sometimes with Molly when she would come to knocking on my door and say, I need your help, and I was there to help her. I serve on the FNAIL board here in the Racine, where we feed the people who need food. During the COVID, we were the only pantry out there feeding over, through the week, 2,000 plus families. I also serve on the NAACP as their secretary, and it was a challenge seeing the former alderman, knowing that she had passed. That kind of hurt my soul to hear that, but I do believe that I could help the community because I love my community that I live in.
Thank you. Mr. Hemmig.
Good evening. I had reached out to each of
Hey,
you.
Keith, would you
Sorry.
lean in or pull it towards
Okay.
you, either way?
All right. Good evening. I had reached out to each of you, but if you're just now seeing me in person, my name's Keith Hemmig. I'm a 20-year resident of the city of Racine in the 2nd District. This is the longest I've ever lived in any continuous place in my life. I've raised 3 mostly wonderful children here. 2 of the 3 are adults, and I've been married to my wife, Carrie, for 27 years this year. She's very active in the community. I have served on the Board of Parks and Rec for about 15 or so years. I would like to be appointed as Alder of the 2nd District because I believe in the critical importance of community involvement in public service. I instill that in my family, and my children, and I'm confident that my pragmatic and broad approach to problem solving will serve and represent my district. My professional career is built in marketing and sales and technology, so I feel like I can bring some creative problem solving skills and communications and bridging gaps. So really excited about the opportunity. It's just a pleasure to be considered.
Thank you. Okay, the second question will commence with Ms. Weiss, and that question is, what characteristics, qualifications, and experience do you have that support your candidacy and potential for contribution as an alderperson?
So I would just start with characteristics, and I would say that I am a leader who believes in leading with my head and my heart. I don't think you can separate the two, and that's sometimes been a challenge for me in my career, but I think that I know I've always made decisions based on what's best for the students I serve, for the families, the community that I serve, because I can always lean into that. I believe that the leadership skills that I've gained across many, many different jobs, from teacher to principal to special education coach to, like I said, director of student services and superintendent, I'm able to resolve conflict. I'm able to have critical conversations while respecting one's dignity. I'm able to make tough decisions that not everybody is always going to agree with, but again, I can lean in on the fact that I've been very transparent with the people I serve, and they know that the decisions I'm making are because I believe they are best for the community as a whole. I believe I have a lot of patience. Speaking about children, I have 4. I have 3 boys and a daughter. 2 are still in the Racine Unified School District out at Case. So that's always work. With my blended family, we have 7. So that's a lot of fun. But I think of all the different experiences I've had across my career and my life, and I know that I can work with people, collaborate. I believe in the power of transparency. If someone doesn't agree with the decision you make, as long as you have explained the why and you've been fully transparent around that decision-making process and how you got there, you're going to get some grace, and you build relationships with the stakeholders that you work with. You're also going to get some grace because they get to know who you are as a person. I always felt as a superintendent, I had to humanize myself. I had to be in the spaces with people, get to know them, so that when we're making tough decisions and we're doing hard work together, they know that what my intent is. And then I just have like logistical experience. I've worked with school boards. I've worked, just the nuts and bolts of working with a board, working with budgets, communication, all of those pieces from my perspective as a superintendent, as a school leader. Board governance, Robert's rules, all of those are things that I've been trained in. So I feel like I have some of those nuts and bolts things, but I would lean most heavily into the fact that I just care, and I always lead with my head and my heart.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Yes, I guess my question is, what do I believe is most important, most pressing concerns in the Racine area?
No, we're on question number 2. What
Oh, I'm
characteristics,
sorry.
qualifications, and experiences do you
Sorry,
have?
I
et
was
cetera?
going Oh, okay. Let's see. I have a deep commitment to the public and service and a passion for my community that I live in. I know that it's just not my community I have to worry about. I have to worry about the community as a whole, the city as a whole. My dedication to being out here in the community, working with, right now, with the people, and if they don't believe in you and you're not being transparent with them, you're not getting anywhere with them. And I believe that you should be transparent with everybody and let them know what's going on with you and what your vision is. And if you're gonna work your vision, just make sure you do it the right way and be open and honest about it. Most of my experience has been working with juvenile delinquents in the past, dealing with adults with mental health issues, and I do believe that helping them out, giving them the resources that they need and guiding them in the right direction, making sure they're getting taken care of, and getting the right treatment that they're needed, the right education that they need is most important to me and for my qualifications and as my character. I try to be very transparent with everybody that I meet. If you ask me something, you want an honest opinion, don't ask me because I will give it to you. And if I don't agree with you, I will listen to your side. And if it's something that is important to the people, I will make sure that that gets taken care of instead of my own personal opinion.
Mr. Hemmig?
I think the key thing for me is integrity and honesty. I think it's my core, is to be honest. I think if you know me, you know where I'm coming from. Speak up, sorry. I think my character traits are, I'm even-tempered, and I strive for consensus. That's been my core value since grade school.
Hey, Mr. Hemming, would you pull the microphone in closer? Thank you.
Okay, there we go, sorry. I'm even-tempered, and I strive for consensus while also being firm in my beliefs. I'm a creative problem solver with a vision for how to bring new approaches and to help solve stubborn problems. At my heart, I'm an educator. I'm not a trained educator. I went to school for it for a bit, but I love to listen. I love to distill the information, communicate to an audience, and in a language and in an experience that is relevant to them. Professionally, I've built AI-based solutions in an industry that has historically been slow to change. I think we all know that slow change can be very frustrating. I serve on my employer's wellness committee as I am very committed to promoting especially mental health. I am a member of the executive team responsible for providing guidance to ownership and financial and strategic initiatives. And I also serve on an industry advisory council for our trade organization that works to advocate and problem solve issues from trade, competition, cost management, and other professional issues. Now, municipal issues and solutions are certainly not the same as corporate, as the objectives certainly differ, but where there's overlap, I feel like there's a great opportunity to leverage some of those creative solutions for collective improvement.
Thank you. Mr. Townsend.
As far as characteristics and traits go, I'm somebody who loves learning, and I will never pretend I know everything. If I don't understand something, I'm willing to sit down and put hours into reading into it to understand it, communicating with people so that everybody will feel involved, everybody will feel heard. Everybody who knows me knows I have a crazy work ethic. I don't care about pouring hours and hours into something to get it done. If that's what needs to be done, that's what's going to be done. I'm very active in the community, very passionate about the community. With the Youth Volunteer Corps, it's the same thing. We have some kids who are there just to volunteer. Some of them are there for court-ordered, like community service. And even the adults that I get to work with throughout that, with some of the places that we volunteer at, I feel like I have a very good understanding of kind of a lot of the needs of our residents, especially in the 2nd District. Because when I was campaigning, I talked about a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people share those same worries. But yeah, overall, I like to take on complex issues. I like collaboration, and I like hearing everybody's input so that everybody feels heard.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the third question now, and Ms. Thomas will respond first. That question is, what you believe are the most pressing concerns in Racine, and why are they the most pressing? Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. For me, it's the education for the children and affordable housing and mental illnesses that's out here, to get an understanding why there's not, where a child is suspended 2 and 3 times out of the week or sent home, instead of keeping them in school and giving them good education what they need, so they'll be able to learn, instead of, they won't learn if they're sitting at home being suspended all the time. I do believe that we should keep the kids in school. That is one of my pressing concerns that I see as an individual, and talking with others within the community, and also affordable housing. Working where I work at, it is hard to place someone in a home or have them the rent for them to pay, and they can't afford it after they're getting the resources to help. If they don't have the jobs, or the jobs are not paying enough for them to afford the affordable housing, I do believe that's a problem that we should be concerned about here in the city of Racine. Just driving around, you see a lot of homeless people hanging out in building doorways, sleeping in building doorways, and that's very concerning to me. We right now only have 1 shelter for this whole city, and that's not enough. We need more shelters for the homeless, so we can get them off the streets and help. A lot of them have mental illness. This is why they're on the streets.
Thank you. Mr. Hemmig?
I believe the most pressing concerns in our city mirror what's happening in many cities and towns and villages across the country. I think we'll probably see that they're pretty common amongst the candidates here. Access to good jobs, economic security, access to health care, mental health services, as I had mentioned, thriving businesses, safe homes and communities, good schools, it's a long list, aging family members, clean streets, water, rivers, and parks. Having spent the first part of my life in another state and in other larger cities, the concerns here are really pretty similar. Racine, however, is in a unique space, situated next to one of the largest bodies of fresh water in the world, tucked between 2 large metropolitan areas, And I think proximity is one of our greatest assets. I think we need to build on that. But we do have a unique challenge in being landlocked, which can limit cheap or easy sprawling development and some of the associated tax revenue. So to be able to capitalize, I think, on those biggest assets and to bring more resources to the individual challenges to the communities, I think it's going to take some creative solutions to address those.
Thank you. Mr. Townsend.
I would say economic development and public safety. I know it's two common ones, but when it comes to economic development, I think that we should work more towards keeping businesses here, being more friendly with aspiring entrepreneurs who are here. And in return, it's going to slow down our talent bleed, which is also going to make more businesses want to come here because we'll have a stronger talent pool, because everybody isn't leaving to go to other cities where they feel like there's better opportunities. I think with public safety too, I think mental health and stuff wraps into that as well. With public safety, when I was campaigning for this seat originally, that was like the #1 thing when I knocked on doors. People were tired of people flying down their streets. They're tired of reckless driving. They're tired of just generally what feels like kind of carelessness from some people. And I think that if we combine those things, that it'll alleviate some of our bigger problems in the city. Like those combined can help alleviate some of our issues with poverty. It can help boost home ownership because there will be more money, better jobs, and it'll help people get on better career paths and stuff. So I would say, while those aren't the two only important things, those are two of the things that I think are pretty important.
Thank you. Ms. Weiss.
So I don't disagree with anything that was mentioned by anybody else up here. And when I thought about this question, I looked at it from a little bit of a different perspective, and I thought about the fact that I don't have something that for me feels like the one thing that has to be solved today. I don't walk in here with an agenda of my own on what I think is the biggest priority. I think that when I think about some of the council meetings I've watched lately, I think perhaps the biggest priority is to build trust back with our community so that we can tackle all of these big priorities. And that my job as one member of a whole council is to work with the group and city administration to determine what the priorities are and to determine in which order we're going to tackle those priorities. So as one person, and I've been on boards where people do have agendas, and we do, right? Sometimes we just put our agendas on the table and we acknowledge them, and then we talk about how we're going to work past those. But looking at this question, I thought, yeah, there are a lot of things in the city that I know we can grow in, but I, as a person, don't make that decision on what our biggest priority is in the moment. I think I would just be one part of a whole that comes up with that list of priorities and works with everyone in this room to determine how we're going to tackle all of those. But I think that being transparent as a group, ensuring we're making decisions based on what's best for the city as a whole, and building trust with the community are going to get us to a space where we can tackle those big priorities.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the fourth question now, which Mr. Hemming will be the first to respond to. What would be some of your key objectives were you to be appointed to this seat? Mr. Hemming.
Sure, thank you. The #1 objective would be to listen to my constituency. The key objectives on a personal level would be to build better access to mental health support. There's a lot of fragmented organizations I think that we can collate and collaborate in that regards. I would like to work on creative solutions for budgetary problems. Money's going to be an issue always, so how can we find creative solutions to continue to provide services, improve services, and attract businesses, which is also attract and recruit businesses and investments. And then, to your point, I think we need to foster better communication within the council and the city. I think trust can be fractured. I think it also can be rebuilt. So with integrity and with humility, I think that we can work on that.
Thank you. Mr. Townsend.
I don't really have any exact thing that I want to work on. I want to help people better understand and feel more involved in governmental processes. I think there's kind of a disconnect there right now. I want to boost like the sense of community again. I want to see like block parties and stuff again. And I know that's not something that's alderman related, but that's something where I can help promote those kinds of things, because I feel like when you have strong communities, you have safety nets for people as well. So I think that that's very important. And overall, I mean, I just want to continue to learn so I can better serve people, whether it's in this seat, whether it's in other capacities I do. I'll just be able to continue to learn about different programs, and overall, I would say, yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Weiss?
So this might sound a little similar to the last one, but working together to assess priorities. Anytime you start a new role, you're listening, you're learning, you're asking a lot of questions. So that's always part of it. You're building relationships with people in the room and in the community. Being supportive of collaboration and transparency. And as I know is vitally important, doing my homework so that I'm prepared when I walk in the room with all of you to do the work and make decisions, and making sure that I'm holding up my end of the bargain so that we're efficient, working together as a team. But I think in any new position, you take a lot of time just to listen and learn and ask questions so that you can get more solid in the role and make sure that you're doing the best job that you can do.
Thank you. And Ms. Thomas?
Yes, well, my key objective is to get to know who I'm going to be working with, and also get to know my community and the people and see what they have to say, what their issues are and what their concerns are about District 2, and to making sure that they have a voice in this building so they can be heard, and I want to be that voice so they can hear what's going on.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll move on to question number 5, and Mr. Townsend will get the opportunity first on this one. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process?
So when I campaigned for this seat, I connected with a lot of the constituents, and I'm still in contact and talked with them consistently. And I'll still be knocking on, even if I get this seat, I'll still be knocking on doors just to check in and see how people are feeling. I'll be available on all social media platforms. My phone's always going to be on, emails. I'll be super responsive, transparent with everything, and yeah, I'll be an open book for anybody who wants to feel heard or inquire on anything.
Thank you. Ms. Weiss?
So similarly, I thought about just the different modes of communication, so social media, email, like potentially sending out surveys, potentially doing focus groups, but then I kind of circle back to a little bit of what I talked about in the last question. I'd want to ask the constituents, what is your preferred method of communication? How do you want to be communicated with? And then I'd want to ask everybody in this room, what have you seen as an effective form of communication? What has been the most valuable way for you to get in touch with constituents, so that I make sure I'm utilizing the methods that are best for the people in the community and that are going to be the most effective for them.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
Thank you. Well, I plan to address and have some type of activity at least every 3 months so they will know what's going on in the community and what's going on in the city, so they can be aware of it, so they're not blindsided by policies and procedures that will be changing, and give them understanding. If they don't know, have an expert come in and talk to them, having like townhouse meetings with them so they'll know what's going on. And I want to work collaboratively with everybody in every other district also to see what they're doing, what their constituents, and see how they're handling their meetings with them.
Thank you. And Mr. Hemmig?
Sure. A lot of similar plans as well. Ultimately, I would like to ask my constituents how they would like me to be involved and incorporate that into the process. But I see that as incorporating, obviously, social media, creating online forums and analog forums, because not everybody's is digitally accessible, where residents can make the request and make comments, continue attending the local events, and I would commit to holding regular town hall meetings in the 2nd District, perhaps at the Bryant Center, where I can be there, listen, you can tell me everything that you want and what you don't like. So.
All right, thank you. Question number 6, we'll start with Ms. Weiss, and the question is, if there were an issue before the Common Council with which you agreed, but the constituents who contacted you disagreed, how would you vote and why?
So when I first read this question, I wanted more information. I wanted to know what was the issue, how many people contacted me, what were the reasons I had for agreeing with it. But since I don't have that, it's just a generic scenario, I would say in general, I would go back to what I started with. I would vote based on what I think is best for the community. And if I have to go back then and explain again why that decision was made or what my thought process was, just ensuring that I'm transparent so that constituents understand the why behind the vote. I think that's the way that I would, I mean, it's happened to me across my career, as I'm sure it has for many of you in this room, where you want to be collaborative, you always want to make decisions based on a collaborative decision-making process, but sometimes you just have to step outside of that because you feel that something's going to be best for all stakeholders. So you just have to make sure that you're explaining the why so that they understand what the thinking was behind it and why you went in a direction that wasn't what they communicated to you.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas?
I will let my constituents know that it was not just for the best interest for our district, but it was the best interest for the whole city as a whole. If it's something that's going to affect the city as a whole, I would have to explain that to them and say, that is why I agree to vote on that. And then I would explain a little bit more, and I would encourage them to start participating and sitting in on some of the city council meetings so they would get a better understanding of what's going on.
Thank you. Mr. Hemmig?
I think it would be dependent on the level of the disagreement and the issue. So it's a complicated, open-ended question. So I would seek to understand the source of the disagreement. Sometimes what is causing the angst or the frustration may be deeper than the issue at hand. And then perhaps if it's appropriate, voice that to the council, if it's applicable or appropriate. And then work to build consensus with the constituents. I'm pragmatic, but I do have a strong moral center. And my intention would be to be accessible to discuss the issues and to represent my district according to the shared values and the best interest of the city at large, too.
Thank you. And Mr. Thomas?
It starts with having a conversation,
Mr.
and if the
Townsend.
majority of the constituents were to want something else than what I wanted, then they would get what they wanted, because at the end of the day, my job as an alder is to represent my district. But yeah, I think that as long as you have that open communication and they're understanding where you're coming from, even if they don't agree, I think that that's very valuable.
Thank you. Question number 7 will commence with Ms. Thomas. If you were appointed as alderperson of the 2nd District, would it be your intent to run for the seat in the 2026 spring election?
Yes, it would be.
Mr. Hemmig?
Yes.
Mr. Townsend?
Yes, it would be, just like I did in the last one, but this one would be even more efficient because I learned so much.
Short answer is yes. Long answer is I've started talking about the fact that if this doesn't work, maybe I would still be intending to run in 2026.
All right. Thank you. Question number 8 will be addressed first by Mr. Hemmig. The question is, common council meetings are typically held the first and third Tuesdays of each month, and there are several standing committees to which you will be appointed to at least one. Additionally, there might be other committees, meetings, correspondence, and information that will require your attention. Do you anticipate a problem in attending evening meetings and fulfilling other time commitments of an alderperson, especially constituent calls and follow-ups? Mr. Hemmig.
Short answer is no, I do not anticipate a problem. There are very limited conflicts for the remainder of the year, and I will prioritize attendance when at all possible.
Thank you. Mr. Townsend?
I will have zero issues with that. I think also with the position I'm in for my full-time job, I'm accessible all day, every day still to the constituents, so I think that that would help as well. But I will, I have no issues with any of the meetings.
Ms. Weiss?
I've had some conversations with some people in the room who've been very clear about the time commitments, so definitely know what I'm getting into and would not have any issues with it.
And Ms. Thomas?
I would not have any issues with it at all. I look
right.
forward to doing it.
Thank you for those clear answers. We are now on to question 9, which is final remarks by each of you. And we're circling around back to Mr. Townsend. So you have up to 3 minutes, Mr. Townsend, to summarize whatever you want to tell us at this point.
Yes, so I appreciate the opportunity to possibly represent Racine's historical and beautiful second district first. If you select me to represent the second district, you're selecting somebody who will work tirelessly and do everything in my power to make Racine a better place for everybody. I will work tirelessly to apply my knowledge of the district's needs and wants from my time campaigning and volunteering to make constituents feel heard, valued, and involved. Everything I do with an integrity, and that's one thing that will never change. I also look forward to using my experience to find creative solutions to some of our issues. Whoever you choose, I look forward to collaborating within our community in the future, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Ms. Weiss.
I would echo the thank you. This is a very unique experience, so I appreciate being a part of it. I would say career experience. You're going to get somebody that's worked with budgets, that's created strategic plans, that's created vision, that's collaborated, that's had critical conversations, and that learns and grows every day around how to be a better leader, because we never arrive. And then I would say, just as a person, this is just a great opportunity to serve the community that I love. I don't have any agenda. I have a systems perspective and think about the whole. Like I said earlier, I definitely believe in leading with my head and my heart. And I've been looking for opportunities to serve this community since I left Racine Unified. So it's just, it sounds pretty, sometimes maybe in some ways naive or simple, but really is just wanting to contribute to this community because I really care about it. And I spent half of my career doing that through the school district, and it's left a bit of a hole. And so it's just a great opportunity to come back and be able to serve again.
Thank you. Ms. Thomas.
Yes, thank you. I care and I love my community, and I care and I love my city. I do believe I can do this job to help the betterment of my community, see improvements and things that are needed in the community. I have that deep commitment to public service. The type of work that I do now, to work with individuals coming in and out of prison, working with people who have mental illnesses, knowing that there's not enough resources out here, I would like to just love to show them that I can do this for them, especially those that are in my district. So I look forward to doing it, and I want to thank you for the opportunity that you have given me today.
Thank you. Finally, Mr. Hemmig.
Right. It really is a privilege to be considered for the appointment for Alderman of the 2nd District of the City of Racine. Public service is a commitment, and I'm grateful to every member here who has given their time to try to make Racine a better place. Racine is my chosen home. The 2nd District is my community. I'm grateful to have lived here with my family, among my neighbors for almost half my life. I think I'm the only one here that's not from here originally. So, I'm also grateful to have had Molly Jones serve the same community for many years. If given the opportunity to serve my community and my city, I will do my best to listen to my constituents and to promote all we have to offer, to advocate for thoughtful and pragmatic solutions to the challenges, foster change, and help move the city forward with integrity. Thank you.
All right, thank you, all candidates, for your responses. That concludes our agreed questions at this point. So with that, our process again will be that the clerk will call the roll, and each person will be requested to express their preferred candidate. And as we go through that, if somebody has a majority in the first time through, they will be successful. Otherwise, we'll go on to a second round. I have a question from Alder Caprellian.
Thank you. I've just been sitting here thinking about at the beginning of the meeting, we had a discussion about procedure, and I'm wondering if it would be better that we write it in and it can be called out. The only reason why I'm thinking of that, I think the merit of our vote should, it's sacred. We've been able to sit and listen to you. I don't want it to be influenced, just in case we have some feeling about other alders. I would like us to be able to cast our vote, and it can be read out. But just if we're hearing it go around the room, I don't want anybody to waver from that.
By a show of hands, do we have agreement on that preferred procedure? Okay, so yes, we're going to need to actually write this down in some fashion. So I don't know that we prepared ballots at this point. If everybody could find paper one way or another, write down their preferred candidate as well as their own name so we can tie it back for the sake of reading these out. It'd be appreciated, and the clerk's office will come around and collect them. Yep. Alder Perez.
So, trying to understand the process that we just approved, we put our name on it as well?
Yes, this has to be a
Yeah.
publicly traceable vote.
Thank you.
Alder Davis will provide her vote after we have all the others in hand, and then we'll ask for her vote vocally then. Alder Davis, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, she not shown.
Is the skate online? Okay, she been part of the meeting? Alder Skata, we see you've joined the meeting at this point. Are you, have you been on the meeting and have you heard what
Yes,
everybody's
I
had to
have
say?
been on the meeting since 5, just
Okay.
wasn't added as a host on the panelist.
Okay, good. I just wanted to be sure you'd had the opportunity to hear everybody.
No, yeah, I did hear everybody
Okay.
out. I already have my vote. I did text you, but in case you didn't see it, that's why I raised my hand.
All right, so with that, Alder Skata, we'd like your vote for your preferred candidate, please, followed by Alder Davis.
My vote goes for Mr. Townsend.
We didn't understand you.
Oops, sorry. Am I clear now?
Yes,
Okay, sorry. My vote goes for Mr. Townsend.
you vote for Mr. Townsend. All right. Alder Davis, your vote?
Townsend.
All right, and then the clerk, when I turn on her microphone, will read off the other votes she has collected then, both the name of the alder as well as the recipient of the vote.
Alder Sebastian Allison Weiss. Alder Harmon Keith Hemming. Alder Kelly Tyler Townsend. Alder Cole Townsend. Alder Widener Townsend. Alder Caprillion Townsend. Alder Horton Keith Hemming. Alder Mack Allison Weiss. Alder Perez Tyler Townsend. Alder Pete Keith Hemming. And Alder Land Keith Hemming. So we have 7 for Townsend, 4 for Hemming, and 2 for Weiss.
So we have 7 of 13 for Townsend, the 2 not, of course, Alder Jones and myself. So with that, we have a majority at this point. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, for putting yourself out there. I know it's not an easy thing to do, and we very much appreciate your participating in the process. And Mr. Townsend, congratulations. Please hang around. You will be sworn in early in our upcoming meeting, and you will be participating in the meeting then. So thank you, everyone. Greatly appreciate it. We are adjourned, and we will commence City Council at 6 o'clock as scheduled.